Hey y'all, welcome back to another video. If you're new around here, hello and welcome. I'm Brandy, I'm a digital artist, and today I'm going over some digital art tips for beginners. So these are just some things that I wish that my younger little artist self knew whenever I was first starting out. These are some things that I think really helped elevate my art. I think these tips have really helped me grow as an artist. So yeah, I hope they help, and let's get to it. So the first tip I have for you guys is to use references. So when I first started out, when I was like 10 or 11 on DeviantArt, there was this kind of stigma, I guess, around artists that use reference photos. And I think that has really changed, especially in the last 5 or 6 years. Which is nice because references are so helpful. You're not going to know what everything looks like, and the more you observe around what's around you, the more realistic your art can become. So I'm really glad that that reference photos aren't really looked down upon by artists as much anymore, as I feel like it was when I was starting out. But that is for sure something that when I did finally start using references in my artwork, that was so helpful. As far as where you can get reference photos, I recommend Pinterest. I think it's really easy to just create a board and have reference photos. You can try to find things like poses or animals if you want to get into drawing animals. Yeah. I think it's really good to look at other artists' work, pull inspiration from other artwork. That doesn't mean copy it or anything like that. If you like the colors that they use, you can maybe, pull that from a piece of art or, something like that, or just something to get you inspired. My next tip is to flip your canvas. This is something oh my gosh, I wish I had done this sooner in my art life, because you're making art and it just looks off, or even if it doesn't look off and you think it looks fine, but then you post it to social media and you're like, this does not look like it should. Something is wrong. This is where flipping your canvas really comes in handy, because basically whenever you're creating a drawing, your eyes start to become used to that drawing, and so they can't really easily pick up what's off about it. So when you flip your canvas, it helps you very quickly see, oh, this is wrong. You can tell that something is wrong when you flip your canvas. And if it doesn't look wrong, then, anatomy and everything is probably correct, which is good. But yeah, that's just another, quick tip for making your art look a little bit better. Another tip I have is to use layers. So I actually made a video about this, I think my last video. I'll leave a link in it somewhere in the video, but you can check that out if you don't really know how to use layers. But I found layers to be super helpful makes it easier to add shadows and lighting and stuff like that. It also makes it really easy to make changes to artwork. So an example is this artwork here. I thought about adding a little kitty cat onto the couch, and I added it on a separate layer so that I could turn the layer on and off just to see what it would look like. And I ended up not liking how the cat looked, so I left it out, which is super nice, because that's one thing that I've really been missing during this Inktober challenge, where I've been doing a lot more traditional art, and I miss my layers for sure. Also, really quickly with layers, another great thing about them is you can do alpha lock and clipping mask. That video I mentioned a minute ago, I go over all of that, which you can check out if you want. But yeah, alpha lock and clipping mask have been super helpful. Another quick tip I have for you guys is to try different color combinations. I got a couple comments recently that people complimenting me on some of the color choices that I made, and honestly, the first color choices that I typically make are rarely what I end up with. So a lot of that goes back to just trying out color combinations and seeing what I like and what I don't. And then also changing the curves and the color balance and just playing around with it essentially, until I find something that I think looks nice. So if you feel like your colors are super bland or you don't like them, I really suggest playing around with that sort of stuff, like the gesture or the color balance and the curves and the hue and the saturation and brightness. Just play around with it and just kind of see what you like, what you don't like. You know, you don't have to be like an expert in color theory, but I do think that learning a little bit of that can be helpful. So the last tip that I have is to utilize the lasso tool. So again, I do have another video on this. If you want to check it out, I'll leave it linked somewhere. But basically, I use this to move things around. I use this to color fill. You can increase the size of things or distort. Distort is a big one for me because whenever I lay down my initial sketch, I'll use the distort tool to make things more dynamic, if that makes sense. So if you kind of stretch and squash the original sketch that you have, it can kind of make it more dramatic, I guess is the word, which is really helpful. Okie dokie guys, that's gonna do it for this video. I hope you found these tips helpful. It'd be super cool if you liked and subscribed. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.